Hello, Daphne here. This is a video about why travel fills up my heart and soul. I have loved traveling ever since I was a teenager and my parents took me and my twin sister all over the world. And I got the travel bug then, and it's never left me. Although there was a slight respite as a young mother for 6 years, bringing up 4 small children, I didn't have a chance to travel very much. But I've made up for it later in life. But in the back of my mind was always thinking about what could I plan that would be just another magical experience. Well, the truth is that they all were, because every single trip I took was so completely different. The thought of exploring the unknown was just so appealing to me. To find myself in exotic countries like Sri Lanka and Bhutan. I mean, it was hard to describe what it was like to delve into those cultures, those peoples, their customs, their history, the absolute beauty of the landscapes of their countries, which are all different. I remember being in Nepal and laying my eyes on the Himalayas and Mount Everest. And oh, what a magnificent gift that 1,500 range of mountains was to us from Mother Nature. Oh, it's just exquisite beyond exquisite. So I treasure all the memories over the years that I have traveled the world, exploring here, there, and everywhere. My children have been with me on many trips. Andrew, my son, and I went to Paris and London together. That was his graduation present from high school. He was an avid tennis player. So I got tickets to Wimbledon, and we went and attended and had just a fabulous time. Ate strawberries and cream like everybody else. And it was just so much fun. Thank you very much. And when I got home from that trip, I told Andrew, I said, I have never felt ecstasy like I felt connecting with you and sharing this international trip with you. And that was the gospel truth. It was just an amazing feeling to be with my son during the entire time of that trip. There was just some deep connection there. But I've also taken trips with my daughter. We've gone to Bermuda together to play golf. We got the thrill of playing at the Mid-Ocean Golf Club, the first time I'd ever played golf with a caddy. She invited me to go on a business trip with her to San Diego, where we had a blast together for a long weekend. And we've been to London a couple of times together, and that was fun. And then my precious son, Christopher, well, he was in the Navy for 3 years. And I didn't see him for a couple of years because he was on a ship overseas. But when he landed back in San Francisco, I flew out there and picked him up, and we began the most magical journey together down the coast of California. We stopped at every golf course we could along the way, including the famous links at Pebble Beach. And it's hard to describe the beauty of that golf course. We stayed at Spanish Bay. We just had, it was heaven. It was just pure heaven for this mom. And off we went. We kept on going down the coast and played at every golf course we could. And we ended up in San Diego, where Christopher had to, I guess, report for one last time to the Naval Air Station there. And then son Brett, well, he was a huge Michael Jordan fan. So as luck would be it, I had a connection with somebody at Fox Sports, and we were able to secure tickets to take him to see Michael Jordan, his ultimate and only basketball hero. The sun rose and sank on Michael Jordan, according to Brett. We traveled to Chicago together and watched Michael Jordan play against the Indiana Pacers and won, of course. We went to Michael Jordan's restaurant. We looked way up high at how tall the Sears Tower was, and we just had a blast. I think that was a trip that Brett will never forget because he still talks about it with such great affection, even to this day. And there's nothing like taking one's grandchildren on trips. I've had the good fortune to take my oldest granddaughter to Ireland. And with a name like Derry, you know she's got an Irish background. So we tromped all over Southern Ireland together and had the time of our life. And she was just darling, darling, darling to travel with. Always up for a good time, always a smile on her face. It was just an amazing trip. And then 2 Christmases ago, I took my other granddaughter to Italy for Christmas, and talk about fantastic. That trip was special from beginning to end. In the first place, would you believe that 2 weeks in December and January, well, between December and January, that there was not a single rainy day the entire time we were in Italy? Isn't that something for the middle of the winter? But we went from Rome to Florence, we went to Cinque Terre, we saw the Leaning Tower of Pisa, we went to Venice, we took a gondola ride there, did all the touristy things, and I guess my little granddaughter gave me the biggest compliment of all. She said, "Grammy, someday I'm going to bring my children to Italy like you've brought me here." And that just absolutely warmed my heart. There's something about travel that it's just like a form of renewal to me. I get such an enormous pleasure out of seeing how other cultures have developed over centuries and centuries. Their customs, the food they eat, the way they dress, the monuments that they treasure, the artwork that they've developed. It's all so different in each country and all so fascinating. And I just soak it all up like I was a sponge. And I find that my mind is just so open and free when I'm traveling. It's just like, I don't know, it's great. It's great not to have any specific schedule. It's great to be able to sort of go with the flow. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, I guess you can already tell that. The natural beauty, all the famous places. And of course, another part of it that's great fun for me is I love to take photographs. This picture here behind me was taken in Botswana with my camera, walking with elephants in the wilderness, out in the middle of nowhere, Botswana. And talk about a magical experience. I mean, that doesn't halfway describe it. But oh, what an incredible afternoon that was. And my son, he loved it too. We both had a great time. And then a couple years later, my husband and I went back, and the 2 of us walked with elephants again. So if you're ever in Botswana, walk with elephants. You'll just be amazed at what a great feeling that is. I love seeing how the rest of the world looks and lives. And it's so different than reading a book. You can read about all the different cultures and all the different places, but there's nothing like seeing it in person. You know, I can remember the first time I laid my eyes on the Eiffel Tower. Of course, I'd seen pictures of it for years, but there was something so romantic about standing there and looking at it. And, oh, just feeling such love in my heart for my husband. And there are, of course, many, many other experiences like that, having fun throwing coins into the Trevi Fountain in Rome as a promise that we would return, and we have. So all these little things that come up, just little tiny out-of-the-way experiences that have meant so much over the years. And, of course, with me every single trip is my trusty camera, my really heavy Canon camera. And I love taking pictures. I love taking pictures of people. I love taking pictures of scenery, landscapes, the food we eat. I mean, nothing's off the table when it comes to me and taking pictures. And I have some wonderful images from all these trips with my family, my husband, and my kids from all over the world. So if I ever forget something magical that happened on our trip, all I have to do is whip out an album I've made that details every minute of these excursions we've been on together. I don't know, traveling just rejuvenates me. It makes me feel even more alive and more connected to Mother Earth, the beauty of it all. It just completely takes my breath away. I don't know how to describe it any other way. But I can also say that landing back home on U.S. soil is also a wonderful feeling to actually be back home, because the truth of the matter is there's no place quite like home. But my husband gets the biggest kick out of me because every time we land at, back at Kennedy or in Miami or Dallas Fort Worth from an overseas trip, and I hear over the speaker, last call for boarding the flight for Rome, all I want to do is turn right around and get on that plane and take off again. So my husband always gets a kick out of that, because my love of travel, I don't think it can ever be satisfied completely. And I have traveled to 45 countries, over 3 million miles, and I told my husband, if I have one more trip, only one more trip to take in my lifetime, I'd like to go back to Africa. I've been there 4 times, but there's something about Africa that has completely overwhelmed me and captured my imagination. So Africa, here I come, maybe once more, maybe multiple times more before moving on. So, my friends, that is a brief synopsis of why travel is in my heart and soul, and why it fills me up with so much joy. And just sitting here describing it to you, I can feel this big, huge rush of happiness in my heart and in my soul. And I can't wait to share the next travel adventure with you, whenever that might be. In the days of COVID, it's a little more difficult these days, but I'll be off and running soon again. So remember, my friends, the only trip that you will regret is the one you don't take.